tonight, so I'm looking forward to being a spectator.
Oh my
You're
God.
also in the unusual position.
No.
But we rely on you to have all the poems.
Right, I've stepped up this time. Maths is my corner, so I've got you covered.
Nice.
You could do 69 again if you wanted. I'm sure no one would mind.
I think you would.
I do.
There's a plan. Nick already has a contribution or two.
Oh, I know, but I was saying he could have another one.
I have 2 contributions already.
You could have another one.
You could have thousands. You could have thousands.
Read the entire Harry Baker collection.
I want food, fuck. Things smell so good. Fuck the tea, I want food.
Hey, Gaddy. We can hear you.
Oh, Jesus, no. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so I'm just too hungry. I'm sorry.
How's everyone's days been?
Warm.
Sunny.
Sunny.
Hey,
Hey,
Mike.
hey, how's it going?
Hi,
Hey,
Mike.
Jeremy. Hey.
I just taught a 1
Hello.
hour long going Oriental dance class, so I am super pumped up.
Hey, Caddy, you made it.
I wasn't
I
expecting
made
you,
it to
Caddy.
store.
Yay.
I made it.
How are you, lovely?
I'm really sorry. See, before days, back in the day, you guys were never on social media in the daytime. When you guys were at work, I could do social media. But now you guys are always on the social media. I cannot be there anymore. It's too much stimulation for me. So thanks to Jeremy, I could remember the date and I had the good link. I find it.
Perfect.
And I love you all so much.
We love you, honey. Frankies. So yeah, give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll get our poetry on.
Poetry.
Michael,
you've got interesting lines going on.
In my head.
know.
In my.
It requires a fantastically complicated piece of software or
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's a faulty webcam.
From art.
yeah, or there's a glitch in the matrix.
Either or.
Either or. Choose whichever answer makes your day slightly better.
How are you, Jeremy? Haven't seen you for ages.
I am warm. I've got a one room studio, so I'm down in London now, and
okay.
it's just warm. There's no way for the air to get anywhere, so I am just lying on the floor going,
Oh, honey.
I know, it's a hard life.
Because you're hot anyway, aren't you, really?
Yeah. Nice. Smooth talker.
Hey, Martin.
Hey, Martin.
Hey, Martin.
How did your environmental thing go, Martin?
It went well.
Nice.
I finished preparing my talk a whole
Hey, Kitty.
10 minutes before I had to join the call. It was incredible.
Nice.
You're wearing your amazing jumpsuit, Kitty.
Hey, Kitty.
Kitty.
Oh.
Oh,
Excuse me, Mrs. Robinson. I have something in here that I think would be perfect. I can't find it. It's driving me insane.
Did anyone else think how clever it was that Frankie timed the space launch with the space poetry?
Yeah. Oh, God. Did they launch?
yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
I totally missed it. I intended to watch it. Totally missed it.
Yeah. It's still streaming live on Facebook if you want to rewind it.
That's fine.
And probably other channels as well.
Did they manage to land the booster?
Oh, it exploded. No, I'm kidding. Everyone's fine, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
No, they're all dead.
Yay, capitalism.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Now.
All right.
House rules.
Definitely. Sorry. Breaking my own rule there.
Celebrating the death of people is against house rules. I didn't realise that was that.
Yeah, this is a space where we can keep it real, but not too real. not too real, not that real.
Did you see that they took a sparkly
So we're
dinosaur?
aiming for comfortably numb.
What was that?
Did you see that they took a sparkly dinosaur into space?
I didn't know.
What?
That's
What?
cute.
Sorry,
In-
what?
In the cockpit with the astronauts was a sparkly dinosaur.
Oh, like a toy or like an actual dinosaur?
Yeah.
Hey, Andrea.
Like an actual dinosaur. They're famously good at being astronauts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
Hey.
So lovely to see you.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Nice to have you back.
I just caught like that little bit where you talking about the rocket, the space launch. Did it happen this time? Because last time it was cancelled.
Yes, it did. They were successful.
Did space is happening?
It's
Right.
everywhere.
It's everywhere. Isn't that a weird thought? Isn't that a weird thought that space doesn't like space is here. It doesn't just stop. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like we have the Earth and then you have all of the Earth sky and then the space outside of the sky. Space goes right the way down to the ground. Isn't that wild?
I
Right,
had
no? No, yeah,
no joke. Apparently, like the first day of school I had, I got into like a straight up, like intense, heated fight with some other kids at my table because I drew like when you're coloring in the sky, the blue goes all the way down to the fucking horizon, my dudes. And they were like, "No, idiot, the sky's up there."
Oh.
I'm like, "Look outside."
You guys are reminding me of the Discworld and the fantasy that they were all in.
Yeah. Well, baby Copernicus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
Or even better, if you've read Strata, it's even more that way.
Okay, listen.
Have you found it, Frankie?
No, so far. I have found it.
Yes.
So, I hereby bring this meeting of Poetry Time to order. Let's do some physics and space poetry.
Chaos.
Tara, I think you have one and mentioned that you would quite like to go first as you've got to disappear.
I don't have to go actual first, just like within the next 15 minutes. I think, yeah, maybe not actual first.
Not actual first. Does anybody have a burning yen to go actual first?
I can go actual first.
Yeah.
I am.
Oh, perfect timing. Hello, loves.
Hi. So this one is one that I've already sent to a couple of people just because I really liked it. It's from Anne Drysdale from the collection The Turn of the Cucumber.
Love that.
And it's called Lines to Accompany a Donation to the Poetry Society. Yeah. Are you ready? Okay. Confucius say, a poor man in possession of 2 pence should spend one on a loaf, one on a flower. This, on the face of it, is common sense. But any hungry peasant in his hour of greatest need would rather overlook his desperate, demeaning need to eat and spend his 2pence on a little treat, like 40 woodbines or a dirty book. And thus this verse I venture to submit, to maximise the worth of my donation. I know what starving souls should do with it. I know the honest pauper's inclination. So, notwithstanding what Kung Fu Sei said, buy 2 chrysanthemums, bugger the bread.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you, Kitty. Would any...
Just very quick, Nikes has just joined us, who's another dancer friend of mine from
Hello.
Bristol. There he is.
Hi.
Nick.
He's also a maths nerd, so if you need any explanations, then ask him.
Nice. Jeremy, did you say that you had something?
I've got several.
Would you like to do one of them, and then we will have some more later?
Sure. I'll do a very quick one, which is based on the Fibonacci sequence, which I shall explain shortly. So, 1, small, precise, poetic, spiraling mixture. Math plus poetry yields fib. Ta-da, done.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful.
So it's not one I made, but for Fibonacci is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. So you add the last number previous to the other number, and you just go on forever.
Cool as fuck.
Basically.
Cool as fuck. I have a slightly mathy one, or a one that kind of mentions maths. I've played fairly fast and loose with the theme this week. So I could maybe do that one next. So, oh, hold on. Blah. Yes, so this is Philip Larkin's Cohen by Paisley Rectal. In the perfect universe of math, it's said the world's eternal aberration. In fact, we should be less than dead. Math itself disrupted for matter ever to be read as real. A thought so hard to fathom that The Nation, in its article on math, has said we lack the right imagination. The human head will not subtract itself from the equation, zero out the eager ego to be less than dead. Did the numbers hunger for mistake, for fun, upend themselves to recalculate our infinite extinction? And was existence meant for all, since it could be said without our numbers, others might have thrived? The black rhinoceros, short-nosed sturgeon. Articles of horn and scale, both less and more than dead. Figurative dreams that now haunt us in our beds. Memories, another flaw in our equation. Was it The Nation? I forget. Regardless, I know that someone said in a perfect universe, we'd all be dead. Maths and bleakness. Yay.
And then we'll actually read a poem with the word maths rather than math in it.
No, that didn't feel right. Michael Cox.
Mine, I just realised mine isn't maths, physics, or space. It's science.
Might I actually go next since mine is maths?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go for it, Tara.
I don't know how many of you know that I'm actually a mathematician.
I know.
Yeah, that's my job.
But I have no idea what you actually do.
I do algebra, but this poem is from when I had just stopped trying to be a musician and started trying to study mainly maths, and was taking a poetry course at the time. And it was my attempt to do maths poetry. It's a bit of an odd one for reading out loud because it had an explanatory picture in it, but I'm just going to do it anyway, and then if anyone wants any explanations, you can have them. And actually, I had thought of doing it when we were, a few weeks ago, Nick read 59, and it made me think of this because this is also in a completely different way a kind of mathematical love story. It's called Tangent. A line of zero thickness and constant gradient. You are one of the blessed ones who have met a being of more varied experience. Kissed her lightly for an infinitely finite time, and then sped on towards the other infinity, in truth much like the one where you were born, while she curves away. You may come across her again. Be casual. She will not remember the kiss unless you met her at a vertex, where she was weightless and you an infinite horizon. Does her memory ever make the quiet infinity seem less complete? Do you long to become less predictable and turn back? And did you ask her if she also dreaded the intercepts? Did you ask her if there are places in her domain where she is always going but never reaching? Did you ask her, was she a witch?
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Tara. Who else do we have? Maria. I think Maria
wanted an explanation.
Oh.
Yeah, what do you want explained, Katie?
Picture of?
The picture is of a curve called the Witch of Maria Agnesi with a tangent. Who doesn't know or wants to know what a tangent actually is and why this curve is called a Witch of Maria Agnesi? Those are things I can explain. Sorry?
I don't know what the Witch of Agnesi bit is.
So it's a mistranslation. So Maria Agnesi was an Italian mathematician in the, I think, 18th century. And she studied this curve. And it's actually called, I can't remember the word, but anyway, the name for it in Italian is something sensible that you might call a curve. But the person who translated the work on it read it differently and thought it said witch. So the name has stuck in English.
That's very
But
cool.
it's just sort of this kind of shape, but like it has interesting mathematical properties. And she was awesome because like there weren't many female mathematicians at the time, or certainly not that we know about still today.
That is really cool. That is really cool. Martin's put, if anyone hasn't seen, Martin's put a link to some information about which you see.
Thank you, Martin.
So yeah, Maria, would you like to do yours?
Sure. So the poem that I came across today is by James Maxwell, and I didn't actually know that he wrote poetry. I just studied about him in physics classes back in Bulgaria, and I also learned that he was Scottish, which made me very happy. So we decided that Michael was going to read the first part, which is, I guess, from the teacher's point of view or Maxwell's point of view, and then I'll read the second one, which is from the student's point of view. So I'll give it over to Michael.
Yeah. So essentially, it's a sleazy professor, and then him being told off, which is nice. So. The lamplight falls on blackened walls and streams through narrow perforations. The long beam trails o'er pasteboard scales with slow decaying oscillations. Flow, current flow, set the quick light spot flying. Flow, current, answer light spot flashing, quivering, dying. Oh, look, how queer, how thin and clear, and thinner, clearer, sharper growing, the gliding fire with central wire, the fine degrees distinctly showing. Swing, magnet, swing, advancing and receding. Swing, magnet, answer, dearest. What's your final reading? Oh, love, you fail to read the scale correct to tenths of a division. To mirror heaven, those eyes were given, and not for methods of precision. Break, contact, break, set the free light spot flying. Break, contact, rest thee, magnet, swinging, creeping, dying.
Doctor of Philosophy from academic Heidelberg, your sum of vital energy is not the millionth of an erg. Your liveliest motion might be reckoned at 1/10 meter in a second. The air, you said in language fine, which scientific thought expresses. The air, which with a megadyne on each square centimeter presses, the air, and I may add the ocean, are not but molecules in motion. Atoms, you told me, were discrete. Then knew they could not be discreter. Who know how many millions meet within a cubic millimeter? They clash together as they fly, but you cannot tell me why. And when in tuning my guitar, the interval would not come right. This string, you said, is strained too far. 'Tis 40 dynes a case too tight. And then you told me as I sang what overtones were in my clang. You gabbled on, but every phrase was stiff with scientific shoddy. The only song you deigned to praise was "Gin a body meet a body." And even there, you said, collision was not described with due precision. In the invariable plane, you told me, lay the impulsive couple. You seized my hand, you gave me pain by torsion of a wrist so supple. You told me that wrench would do, 'twould set my twisting round the screw. Where every hair of every tress, which you no doubt imagine why, drawn towards you with its breaking stress, a stress day of a megadyne, that tension I would sooner suffer than meet again with such a duffer.
Yay!
So that was physics.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Michael, you're very
Does
silly.
does everyone know the splendor falls on castle walls? I can imagine maybe some people who aren't native, no, not even everyone knows. Oh, but you do, right, Michael?
All the physics concept explained, I think, from the poem, but I kind of managed to get the overlaying gist of it.
Yeah, my high school physics classes, I think, got the beginnings of it, but yeah, yeah.
It's full of archaic terms.
Are you saying this is a takeoff of another poem, Tara?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. Like yes, absolutely. The part that Michael read.
Interesting.
Yes, by Tennyson, the splendor falls on castle walls.
Ah, no, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Really, you read it so much like it that I was absolutely convinced you knew it, but it turns out that it just comes out the same because it is from it. That's amazing.
Well,
look
I was
at
saying,
that, and you'll
I was
see.
thinking that next week I think the theme is going to be like parodies and homages of.
Ooh.
So
I'll just tell you the very beginning of it, shall I? And then you'll see. The splendor falls on castle walls and snowy summits, old and story. The long light shakes across the lakes, and the wild cataract leaps in glory. Blow, bugle, blow, set the wild echoes flying. Blow, bugle, answer echoes, dying, dying, dying.
Ah, yeah. So I mean, obviously,
you didn't know because it sounded exactly as if you did.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's awesome.
He's got, yeah. I mean, I knew that Maxwell wrote a like doggerel because he wrote like a parody of Robert Burns's "Gin a Body, Meet a Body."
Right.
He references in that, obviously, which is kind of like, which is also quite funny. And it's all about physical, as based on the Heidelberg principle, I think, about measuring things. But I'll save that till next time if it's more.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I think let's try and keep this because I think we've got a fair few people to get through.
Indeed.
Is M here? You're here, my love. Would you like to do one of yours?
Yeah.
And then maybe Nick might be persuaded to do the Sunshine Kid.
This is one that I have not read out loud yet, so it'll be fun. But I told my partner's mom that we were doing this, and this was the first thing she thought of to send. So, The English Astronaut by Simon Armitage. He splashed down in the rough seas off Sperm Point. I watched through a coin-op telescope jammed with a lollipop stick as a trawler fished him out of the waves and ferried him back to mission control on a trading estate near the Humber Bridge. He spoke with a mild voice. Yes, it was good to be home. He'd missed his wife, the kids, couldn't wait for a shave and a hot bath. Are there any more questions? No, there were not. I followed him in his Honda Accord to a little Cafe 1, took the table opposite, and watched him order the all-day breakfast and a pot of tea. You need to go outside to do that, said the waitress when he lit a cigarette. He read the paper, stirred the crossword, poked at the black pudding with his fork, then he stared through the window for a long, unbroken minutes at a time, but only at the busy road, never the sky. And his face was not the moon, and his hands were not the hands of a man who'd held between finger and thumb the blue planet and lifted it up to his watchmaker's eye.
That was gorgeous. Simon Armitage, man. For reals, right? Good stuff. Nick, how would you feel about cracking out one of your bad boys?
There is a rather loud engine just outside my window, which I don't know if you can hear on there. But oh no, it's going good. Right, yes, totally up for it. It was just quite distracting. So this is another one by Harry Baker, which was the same guy who wrote 59. I guess sort of space themed. This is the Sunshine Kid. Old Man Sunshine was proud of his son, and it brightened his day to see his little boy run, not because of what he'd done, nor the problems overcome, but that despite that, his disposition remained a sunny one. Now, it hadn't always been like this. There'd been times when he tried to hide his brightness, and every star hits periods of hardship. It takes a brighter light to inspire them through the darkness. And if we go back to when he was born in a nebula, we know that he was never really thought of as regular because he had a flair about him. To say the Midas touch is wrong, but all he went near seemed to turn a little bronze. And this son was loved by some more than others. It was the case of Joseph and his dreamcoat and his brothers. Standing out from the crowd has its pros and its cons, and jealousy created enemies from those he outshone, such as the Shadow People. Now, the Shadow People didn't like the Sunshine Kid because he showed up the dark things that the Shadow People did, and when he shone, he showed the places that the Shadow People hid, so the Shadow People had an evil plan to get rid of him. First up, they made fun of his sunspots and shooting his dreams from the sky. Their words were gunshots, designed to remind him that he wasn't very cool and that he didn't fit in with any popular kids at school. They said his head was up in space and they would bring him down to Earth. Essentially, he came from nothing and that was all he was worth. He'd never get to go to university to learn. The only degrees he'd ever show would be the first-degree burns of those that came too close. They told him he was too bright, and that's why no one ever looked him in the eyes. His judgment became clouded. So did the sky, with evaporated tears as the sun started to cry. And the Sunshine Kid was bright, with a warm personality, and inside he burnt savagely, hurt by the words and curses of the shadowy folk who spoke holes in his soul and left cavities. And as his heart hardened, his spark darkened. Every time they called him names, it cooled his flames. He thought they might like him if he kept his light dim, but they were busy telling lightning she had terrible aim. He couldn't quite get to grips with what they said. So he let his light be eclipsed by what they said. He fell into a Lone Star state like Texas and felt like he'd been punched in his solar plexus. And that's when little Miss Sunshine came along, singing her favorite song, how we're all made to be strong and you don't have to be wrong to belong, just be true to who you are, because we're all stars at heart. Now, little Miss Sunshine was hot stuff, the kind of girl that when you looked at her, you forgot stuff. But for him, there was no forgetting her. The minute he saw her, her image burned in his retina. She was out of this world, yet she accepted him. Something about this girl meant he knew whenever she was next to him, things weren't as dark as they seemed. He dared to dream. Shadows were nowhere to be seen. When she was there, he beamed. His eyes would light up in ways that can't be faked. When she was grinned, her rays erased the razor-tipped words of hate. They gave each other nicknames. They were Cool Star and Fun Sun. And gradually the shadowy damage became undone. She was one in a septillion, and she was brilliant. Could turn the coldest-blooded reptilians vermilion, loved by billions from Chileans to Brazilians. She taught the Sunshine Kid the meaning of resilience. She said, all the darkness in the world can't put out the light from a single candle. So how the hell are they gonna handle your light? Only you can dim it, and the sky's the limit, so silence the critics by burning. And if the eyes are the windows to the soul, then she drew back the curtains and let the sun shine through the hurting. And in any universe of adversity, these stars stuck together. And through days became nights, their memories would last forever. Wherever the weatherman said it or not, it would be fine. Because behind the clouds, the kids could still shine. And the Sunshine Kid was bright, with a warm personality. And inside he burned savagely, fueled by the fire inspired across galaxies by the girl who showed him belief.
That's fantastic, Nick. Loved it.
That is the title poem to the book.
Ah, okay.
Why? What happened?
First time I've heard Nick read, it's really, really
I want
good.
to see the book's name again.
The Sunshine Kid.
Frankie, you're muted.
Thank you.
You're muted, Frankie.
Yep, still muted.
Nick, that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
That book is so good.
It really is.
I was wondering about doing the pie one, but
Hang on, that's my realm.
Jeremy.
Back off.
I've got one called Exploded Stars by Camila Aisha Moon, which might follow in quite well from that. If I do that one. So that is find it. Yeah, so this is Exploded Stars by Camila Aisha Moon. Haunted by wholeness, bright debris sibilant beneath skin, tug of warring with gravity, we harvest shine from the caves of mouths and crevices of eyes incandescent as we remember the most massive flares among us, detonate inside each other to hold tiny supernova in our arms. Crushed bodies craving fusion keep us brimming with enough energy to pass on, keep us lit and lying to ourselves about the eventual and sudden ways we black hole. It already happened. It's happening anyway, to happen soon, scattering all that we think matters so much now for another radiant giant to gather, then fling across galaxies again, reconstituted and scorched clean. New turmoil begging from the inside out to burn.
Wow.
Yeah, not cool.
I like that one.
I like it. Very cool. Very lovely use of language. Would anybody like to go next? Would anyone like to volunteer? Shall I? Aha.
Oh, hey.
Oh, is that? Oh, was that an arm in the air, Rory, or was that?
It's such pick me. But if someone else wants to go first, that's absolutely fine.
Rory, I want to hear yours.
Okay, we have options. Oh, let's see. Okay, we have a poem about a cat that I didn't write. We have a poem about dinosaurs that I didn't write. And we have a poem about electrons from when I was like 18 that I have not looked at. In
Electrons. I want
Electrons.
All of them.
Okay.
All of them.
There is only one electron. We all know that.
Okay. It's, yeah, like the idea, if it's moving fast enough, then it can
There's
be.
only one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay. It's called, according to contemporary physics, brackets 1 angstrom, because that's apparently, I was an angsty kind of guy. Hey, anyway. Okay. Oh, for context, in case anyone doesn't know, an angstrom is like the smallest unit of measurement, basically, between atoms. According to contemporary physics, you and I have never touched. My fingertip hovers 100 millionth of a centimeter from your flesh. Our electrons scrabbling for independence with every caress. I love you immensely. You know that. But consider this. At a subatomic level, we find one another utterly repellent. That's it. That's the poem. I really like that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
It's like electron joke, repellent, and oh, it's yeah, sounds fun.
The cat one we just stole from Sam.
Well, you were 17 when you wrote this?
18.
18, yeah.
It's crazy.
This is so romantic for 18 years old. They are hoovering. It's 18 years old hoovering.
Goddamn badass. Mike Cox, would you like to do yours?
Yes, I can. As I say, it's not. I misread the title, and it's kind of science-based rather than physics or maths or anything.
That's
Okay.
okay. Probably allow that.
Fabulous. Okay.
I mean, technically everything's physics.
Thanks, Nick.
Hey.
Yes.
Whoa! Don't make me mute you.
Heavy.
Brilliant. So this is called Physiology by Rachel Shannon. I studied the organic mechanics of every human on the planet, from cognitive psychology and clinical neurology to an astonishing understanding of human immunology. It's amazing to study aging, the science of dating, and the neurons of tasting. Presumably, my only chance to put a dead body under scrutiny and observe its ingenuity. I find the human construction through professor instruction and scientific deduction. Though it is often incomprehensible, it is hands down incredible. But hands up if you've ever heard that you go to university just to find yourself. Wouldn't it be fun to put that on the shelf and instead study, well, yourself?
Wonderful, love it.
Very cute.
Totally love it.
Oh, Em, how would you feel about doing your second one?
Yeah. Yeah, we can do my second one. All right. This one is by Dave Calder, and it's called Information for Travelers. As you read this poem, you're on a spacecraft traveling at 66,000 miles an hour. It spins as it flies. Since you began to read, it has already turned 9 miles to the east. Be honest, you didn't feel a thing. You are orbiting a star. Not a very big one compared to many of the 10,000 million others that go around the same galactic wheel and are flying at a height above its surface, some 93 million miles. We hope to cruise at this distance for another 8,000 million years. What happens then is anybody's guess. Despite its speed and size, this craft is a space station, a satellite, not designed for interstellar flight. Its passengers rely on the comfort of a pressurized cabin. To enjoy the voyage, we must advise you that, in the event of collision, loss of atmosphere, or any alteration in course which may result in overheating or extreme cold, this craft is not equipped with parachutes or emergency exits. On a brighter note, the spaceship contains an enormous variety of in-flight magazines, meals to suit every taste, and enough games, puzzles, and adventures to last a lifetime. We hope you enjoy your voyage. Thank you for flying, Planet Earth.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah, very cute. Jeremy, would you like to do another one?
Sure. So, if you don't know, my surname is actually Pye, but spelled P-Y-E because reasons. So, I found this one on the interwebs. A pie was discovered in ancient Greek times. It didn't have apples, bananas, or limes. Unlike desserts, those pies people eat, this pie is a maths constant, but still really very sweet. Pie is really easy. It's 3.14. It used to confuse me, but not anymore. I use it for maths. It's really quite swell. Although it's irrational, pi works pretty well. Area circles, try pi r squared. It's the cool constant. It deserves to be shared. For circumference you need a quick formulae. Here it is, pi times d. You got to use pi. Yes, pi is the cool constant. Without it I cry, because I failed my maths if I try to use pi.
Super cool.
All about the pie. All about the
pie.
And I first time heard this poem in Turkish. So listening it in English, it was very different. To be honest, really, it was like, oh, now it makes more sense.
So it seems too good an opportunity not to do the Henry Baker pie poem. Should I do it, or Nick, do you want to do it?
No, you can do it. I don't have a monopoly on Harry Baker.
You're the Harry Baker boy. You're Mr.
Harry Baker man.
Harry Baker man. Okay. I don't think that I would do it as well as Nick. It's got a lot of numbers in, and I think that I would get tied up with it.
I think you should totally do it.
Give it a go. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I've had 4 martinis, and I'm gonna have a go at this pie poem.
Yeah. That's the spirit.
What, you made a mistake.
While she's off screen, her mum did an excellent job and made a whole flask full of martinis for her to go through during the day. It's so sweet.
You made a mistake there, Frankie.
Hmm?
You've had too many martinis. You should have had 3.
Oh yeah, I should only have 3.14 martinis. Okay. Which is the pie one?
That guy. This guy.
This was a really bad idea. Okay, let's see how we're on. So this is another one by Harry Baker, and it's called 99 Problems. Oh no. I've got my calculator on statistics mode, pencil and protractor, and I'm ready to go. They say that I'm a loser with no life and no hope. I'm a mathematician. What type of facts are those? If you grew up with some since you were 3 1/3 and could be talented with numbers without being a nerd, to me that doesn't seem irrational, like absurd. So if you don't like my logic, then just listen to my words. I may not be normal like a distribution curve, but if I don't fit in, well, I don't give a standard deviation. They call me the denominator because I divide the crowd like hyperbolic equations. I don't know what you take me as or understand the intelligence that Hey B has, but from fractions to decimals, I ain't dumb. I got 99 problems, but maths ain't one. 99 problems, but maths ain't one. If you're having number problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but maths ain't one. Hit me. 99 problems, but maths ain't one. Now check me recite pi like Mr. Palfrey man. I got 99 problems, but maths ain't one. Hit me. 3.14159. 2653589 79323 84626 4338327 502881149 7169399 3751105. That's 51 decimal places, and I've got a few more here with the 820974 944 9. Michael, you gotta stop dancing. 94495230781. I got 99 problems, but maths ain't one. Hit me.
All right.
Well done, Frankie. Pass that over.
Wow, that was
fun.
fun. Mistakes were made.
Thank you.
This is going on YouTube. Oh, cool.
Saying that teenage poetry is going on YouTube.
Yes.
Oh God,
Mom!
go to my room. So embarrassing.
Right. And speaking of people who should definitely have done that, Nick, how about your second one, my love?
Sure. If you don't mind, I'm going to screen share something for this one.
Ooh.
You wouldn't tell me what it is.
If I'm able to, let me try. Oh, disabled. Could you give me permission?
Let's see. This is going to be fun. Okay, I'm going to try making you the host.
Ooh, I'm now the host.
You're now the host, which means that you're going to have to like mute everybody until your turn is done, and you can let me take it back.
I reckon I can live with that.
You want to go full screen.
Oh, I know.
He's trying to crack the code. He's nearly in.
So this is actually not a poem. What are you doing? But what it is quite poetic. I reckon some of you will probably know this.
Yes. Press the full screen button at the bottom.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's the little blue dot.
The pale blue dot, indeed.
Pale blue dot.
What, I need to do what?
You need to press the button with the little projector on it to make it full screen.
Yes, thank you. That's what I want.
So mute everyone. Mute everyone else.
And I want to do this. I will do that in a second. Contemporary. Okay. Meeting controls. Good. Can you hear me? Actually, I can't see any of you, so even if you can hear me, I wouldn't be able to see. Let's do this again. So, I expect a lot of you already know what this is, but if you don't know what you're looking at here, this is a photograph taken by the Voyager 1 space probe, which was launched in 1977 with a mission to explore the outer solar system. And after completing its mission, once it got on past Saturn, NASA gave it a final command, which was to turn its cameras around and take one final shot of the planet Earth. And that tiny little dot that you see there is the Earth itself, viewed from a distance of about 6 billion kilometers, which is about 3.7 billion miles away. in the full version of this picture, what you're seeing is only a small part of the image. In the full version of this picture, the Earth is actually smaller than a single pixel. But we've got a closer version. At that time, Carl Sagan, who was the leader of the Origins project and wrote a wonderful book by the same name of this, which is Pale Blue Dot, made some observations, and I find them extremely poetic, so I thought I'd read them to you with this as a backdrop. So he said, "Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited upon the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there's no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbour life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit, yes. Settle, not yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. It's been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
Lovely.
That's beautiful, Nick. Real nice.
Quite sad.
Absolutely wonderful. Can you make me host again? I need to. Also, I've realised that the recording stopped when you guys became host, so this will be a truncated recording. But
it is still
here live.
No, it's still recording.
It's still recording.
Yeah.
It's saying that it's recording.
Oh.
So, yeah, it
does.
Maybe you have taken over recording duties.
Well, it's recording to cloud, so it might...
Or it's the cloud that just stays with the whoever's the host.
How exciting. Oh, brilliant.
yeah.
Okay, can I don't know how to make myself host again.
There you go. I think that should have done it.
Thank you, my darling. I actually have sort of thematically. I have a non-poetry thing that I would like to read, which is actually about by Andrea, who was Carl Sagan's wife, and it's after Carl died, and it's just sort of something that that she wrote. I can't even remember where she wrote it. I've had it in my collection for 15 years, and so God knows where. If anyone knows where Andrea wrote these things about Carl Sagan, then please let me know. But so when my husband died, because he was so famous and known for not being a believer, many people would come up to me, it still sometimes happens, and ask me if Carl changed at the end and converted to a belief in the afterlife. They also frequently ask me if I think I will see him again. Carl faced his death with unflagging courage and never sought refuge in illusions. The tragedy was that we knew we would never see each other again. I don't ever expect to be reunited with Carl. But the great thing is that when we were together for nearly 20 years, we lived with a vivid appreciation of how brief and precious life is. We never trivialized the meaning of death by pretending it was anything other than a final parting. Every single moment that we were alive and we were together was miraculous. Not miraculous in the sense of inexplicable or supernatural. We knew we were beneficiaries of chance. That pure chance could be so generous and so kind that we could find each other, as Carl wrote so beautifully in Cosmos, in the vastness of space and the immensity of time, that we could be together for 20 years. That is something which sustains me, and it's much more meaningful. The way he treated me and the way I treated him, the way we took care of each other and our family while he lived. That is so much more important than the idea I will see him someday. I don't think I'll ever see Carl again, but I saw him. We saw each other. We found each other in the cosmos. And that was wonderful.
Holy shit.
Oh God.
That was beautiful.
Jesus Christ. What is it about space? Space and space people.
We're space people.
We're all space people.
We are all space people. Don't you send me down that fucking... Don't you send me down that rabbit hole. Oh, does anyone ever... does anyone remember... Okay, this is possibly a bit of a deep cut, but Alex James, ex-bassist of Brough, now Cheese Farmer?
What? It grows Jesus.
Bear with me. So he wrote a series of pieces for probably some fairly wanky newspaper back in the day when he was Alex from Brough, and one of them was called Brighton Rock, and that had some stuff in it about like pebbles and space. Did anyone ever read that? No? Okay, well, if we get to the end and if people are still hungering for space after all of the poetry is done, I might see if I can dig that out and read it to anyone who is interested. I haven't read it for years, but I remember at the time being like, oh wow, like Alex from Brough is so profound, that's so true.
Were you about 14 by any chance?
What's that, darling?
Were you about 14 at this point by any chance?
Maybe. It's a susceptible age.
That's
Does anybody else
still
have...
less embarrassing than Travis from Blink-182 being obsessed with Area 51.
It wasn't Travis. It was one of the other ones.
Oh, okay. The other ones, not even as good as Travis. Sorry. Anyway.
Hold on. Quiet in the cheap seats. Poetry. Does anybody have any more poetry that they would like to do? Jeremy, unmute yourself, my darling.
So this is the one I wrote, being sort of inspired by the poetry. And of course, it combines innuendos and maths, which is obviously the best thing we could possibly think of. So here it goes. If you're Silver Surfer, then I'd be Iron Man. Let's team up. We'd be alloys. Hey, come on. Let's get away from all this background noise. I don't mean to be obtuse, but you're a cute lady. What's your name again? Katie, Caddy, Ainsley, Frankie? It doesn't matter. You must be the square root of -1, because you can't be real. Here, let me cook for you this 4-course meal. You're sweeter than 3.14. Here, let me hold that door. I wish I was your derivative, because then I could lie tangent to your curves. Would you like this platter of hors d'oeuvres? What's your sign? Pi divided by 2, because you are my one. You can never be outdone. Your beauty is like pi, never ending. My heart you are attending. You are as beautiful as 1.618. Have a slice of this golden sprinkle cake. That was all right. I just ate. My love is like a fractal. It goes on forever. It shall forever endeavour. My love for you is like dividing by 0. It cannot be defined. I love to delve into such a curious mind. Are you the square root of 2? Because I feel irrational when I'm around you. Are you a photon? Because you make my light shine. You make me feel sublime. I, less than 3 you. Ta-da!
You fucking cutie pie.
Right.
It's the most romantic poem ever. I mean, gives me all kind of emotions.
Lush, very lush. Does anybody else have one that they would like to do?
I've got one that, like, one of my very first poems I ever wrote when I was like first learned what scansion was well after I left school. So it's a bit silly, but it's kind of, yeah, okay. It's got a scientific theme. It's called The Unity of All Life. Imagine some buildings up by some dock, a sprightly young gent with a gallivant walk, straight from some poncy science talk, chance on 2 youths in the toilet block. From the looks on their faces, he catches their gist. It wasn't in this place that he should have pissed. Apologies made and quickly dismissed. Justice is settled by flung about fists. But elegant truth succors his soul. Arms and legs flailing, head in the bowl. Through bubbles and blubbers, the comrades are told, we're all just small parts of one wonderful whole.
Thank you so much. So talented. So I've got one that is, if we are allowing a little bit of straying into science territory away from purely physics, which is, hold on, so it's called, I just think it's quite a cute little one. It's by Bruce Covey, and it's called Flat, Sentences from the Prefaces of 14 Science Books, which, does exactly what it says on the tin. 1. Mary Frances applied continual pressure on me to start the job and helped in recording and editing. 2. Thanks to Sandra for her heroic typing, although this need not be taken to indicate her agreement with various points. 3. Peter provided information about the notorious perpetual pills. 4. As someone who gloried in seeing dogma overturned, he would have delighted in the irony of seeing arguments for the reverse. 5. And without their willingness to take on the chore of responding to our whims and fancies over a 3-year period, this book would have fallen short of its goals. 6. The production of this tome would have been unthinkable without the marvelous electronic tools that are now widely available. 7. However, Chapter 7 was written in a relatively self-contained fashion, so the serious student may skip Chapter 6 and delve directly into the theory. 8. The late abbess of Shasta Abbey proved that looking through different windows into the same room is not a metaphor. 9. Nick, who is writing a book on oxygen, gave much appreciated data concerning that element. 10. The film strip format employed in Chapter 10 originated with Elizabeth. 11. I have been very fortunate in being able to use such penetrating minds. 12. In recent months, I have often felt like a small child in a sweet shop as astronomers all around the world have sent me the most mouth-watering new data. 13. Suffice it at this point to observe that I am not just talking about wallpaper patterns on shirts and dresses, although many of these patterns do turn out to have interesting properties. 14. I do not expect that many readers will want to be masochistic enough to read the book in order from cover to cover.
That is wonderful.
Does anybody else have a one that they would like to do? Any more?
I didn't have one originally, but because of all the poems in the chatter, I remembered about something.
Yes, Andrea!
And it's inspired by all of you and quite a bit by Andrea. And I really hope the screaming people outside can move away faster. Right. I'm just going to tell you what it is at the end, if you don't guess it by then. Didn't know what time it was and the lights were low. I leaned back on my radio. Some cat was laying down some get it on rock and roll, he said. Then the loud sound seemed to fade. Came back like a slow voice on a wave of phase haze. That weren't no DJ, that was hazy cosmic jive. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it because he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it. Let the children use it. Let all the children boogie. I had to phone someone, so I picked on you. Hey, that's far out, so you heard him too. Switch on the TV, we may pick him up on channel 2. Look out your window, I can see his light. If we can sparkle, he may land tonight. Don't tell your papa or he'll get us locked up in fright. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it because he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it. Let the children use it. Let all the children boogie.
Yay!
So yeah, that was Starman by David Bowie. His space people.
Very, very good call. Very good call. Okay. think that's potentially nearly the end. Oh, I have.
Malcolm had one.
Oh, Malcolm. Malcolm, did you have one, my darling?
I just messaged saying that, kind of a bit similar to Andrea, I had a song that came to mind, which is poetical in its lyricism and talks of space.
Yes, please. I would love that.
Okay. I think many people will recognize it. I believe by Eric Idle. Whenever life gets you down, Mrs. Brown, and things seem hard or tough, and people are stupid, obnoxious or daft, and you feel that you've had quite enough, I just remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving and revolving at 900 miles an hour. That's orbiting at 19 miles a second, so it's reckoned. The sun that is the source of all our power. The sun and you and me and all the stars that we can see are moving at 1,000,000 miles a day. In our outer spiral arm at 40,000 miles an hour of the galaxy we call the Milky Way. Our galaxy itself contains 100 billion stars. It's 100,000 light years side to side. It bulges in the middle, 16,000 light years thick, but out by us it's just 3,000 light years wide. We're 30,000 light years from galactic central point. We go round every 200 million years. And our galaxy is only one of millions of billions in this amazing and expanding universe. The universe itself keeps on expanding and expanding in all of the directions it can whiz. As fast as it can go, the speed of light, 12 million miles a minute, and that's the fastest speed there is. So remember when you're feeling very small and insecure, how amazingly unlikely is your birth. And pray that there's intelligent life somewhere up in space, 'cause there's bugger all down here on Earth. Da-da-da-da. Boom.
Woohoo! But you missed out the instrumental in which we fly straight up some lady's.
Oh no!
Goes on like that for a while.
Everyone should definitely go and listen to the song The First and Second Laws of Thermodynamics by Flanders and Swan.
Yes.
Good advice.
Post it on the group. Right, I'm officially calling the session to an end because
I do have the bonus one that I messaged you about, though.
Oh shit! Okay, right, yes.
I have one too. I don't think I can get through without crying, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry. I'm warning you guys now. There's gonna
Oh my god. Okay, well, hold on, everybody. Main body of poetry time over. Thank you very much for coming. This has been an amazing physicsy, mathsy, spacey.
Stop recording?
You can leave it recording if you want.
I was going to say maybe keep it recording if that would be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Oh man, I'm gonna do my best not to cry. Yeah. This is the most recent one of my poems, and it was a birthday present for Katie. But I wanted them to hear it one-on-one first before sharing it with everyone. So yeah. Oh, okay. I'm gonna try not to cry. The alluring, sweet, and savory smell of roasting garlic, tomatoes, and peppers, with a tinge of something so pleasing that it tickles your throat without having even tasted it. That is how I found you when we met. You excited and enticed me in a way that might have frightened me a tad, but only because we were alike in so many ways that hadn't occurred to me that I could be. You seemed so unapologetically you, unapologetically curious and geeky and warm. And I was so wrapped up in trying to be my best self instead of my honest self in that phase of life. That part of me was in denial about who I was. But you were real. And it was easy to be real with you. As easy as avocado toast on a lazy morning. And being real is hard when you always live somewhere full of familiar faces and familiar places. When you invited me to stay, I'm not sure if you ever thought I'd take you up on it. I'm not sure either one of us had any idea the music that we could make would feel like fun. I'm not sure either of us could have really known what you were actually doing was giving me the gift of inviting me home. That first day, you asked if I'd like to sit in the garden and trade songs. Something beyond the ordinary. Our voices and stories folded together like pastry, layering bit by bit, rising in the rays of the sun, meticulously wrapped around us at its center. Unbeknownst to me, that was the day my honest self started, slowly finding their way. My dad likes to say that the smells are what makes somewhere feel like home, and that the smells are mostly made up of lingering memories of meals past. When you brought me into your chosen family, it was like you invited me to eat at your table, and it was cool if I felt like showing up in pajamas, empty-handed. There was no need to be anything except as I was. The flavor of home from before hadn't changed, but this was different. This was home having a new meaning. This was chosen family taking form. We prep with purpose in ways that allow each other to truly lean in, to be there to counterbalance. And you knew with such sureness, so safely and quickly, that I can't help but be amazed when I find myself hovering for an instant and appreciating the pure joy of soaring from your arm. Home smells like whiskey and bread and risotto and roasting garlic and tomatoes, but also somehow it's rich and deep and sweet as laughter. A chocolate cake with fresh berries. And like fresh air, the closest thing I can smell to flying. And for those of you who don't know, Kitty is like the reason I know all of you. Genuinely, we met in Minneapolis, and then like a year or two later, I was like, "Hey, were you serious about that? Can I come stay with you in Glasgow?" And then Kitty just introduced it.
Well, Kitty, thank you for bringing such an excellent person into our midst. You've done us a real solid.
I think they would have found us. I think they would have come here.
Lured you in. That was gorgeous. Thank you, Em. Ainsley, did you want to do your crying one?
It's physics. Have we already had Naruto's Ode to the Atom?
No. Okay.
I'm not sure I can get through it without crying, but if you want it, I can do it.
I would like this as like a personal request because you know how I feel about Naruto.
I'm not sure it should come after that one, but
here we go.
Oh, okay. Infinitesimal star, you seemed forever buried in metal, hidden. Your diabolic fire. One day, someone knocked at your tiny door. It was man. With one explosion, he unchained you. You saw the world. You came out into the daylight. You traveled through cities. Your great brilliance illuminated lives. Your terrible fruit of electric beauty. You came to hasten the flames of summer, and then, wearing a predator's eyeglasses, armor, and a checked shirt, sporting sulfuric mustaches and a prehensile tail, came the warrior and seduced you. Sleep, he told you. Curl up, Adam. You resemble a Greek god, a Parisian modiste. In springtime. Lie down here on my fingernail. Climb into this little box. And then the warrior put you in his jacket, as if you were nothing but a North American pill. He traveled through the world and dropped you on Hiroshima. We awakened. The dawn had been consumed. All the birds burned to ashes. An odor of coffins, gas from tombs, thundered through space. The shape of punishment arose, hideous, superhuman. Bloody mushroom, dome, cloud of smoke, sword of hell, burning air arose, spreading death in parallel waves, reaching the mother sleeping with her child, the river fisherman and the fish, the bakery and the bread, the engineer and his buildings. Everything was acid dust, assassin air. The city crumbled its last honeycombs and fell suddenly, demolished. Rotten men were instant lepers. They took their children's hand and the little hand fell off in theirs. So from your refuge in the secret mantle of stone in which fire slept, they took you, blinding spark, raging light, to destroy lives, to threaten distant existences beneath the sea, in the air, on the sands, in every twist and turn of the ports, to destroy seeds, kill cells, to stunt the corolla. They destined you, Adam, to level nations, to turn love into black pustule, to burn heaped up hearts and annihilate blood. Mad spark, go back to your shroud, bury yourself in the mineral mantle. Be blind stone once again. Ignore the outlaws and collaborate with life, with growing things. Replace motors, elevate energy, fertilize planets. You have no secret now. Walk among men with your terrible mask. Pick up your pace, and pace the picking of the fruit, parting mountains, straightening rivers. Making fertile, Adam, overflowing cosmic cup. Return to the peace of the vine, to the velocity of joy. Return to the province of nature. Place yourself at our service. And instead of the fatal ashes of your mask, instead of the unleashed infernos of your wrath, instead of the menace of your terrible light, deliver us your amazing rebelliousness for our grain, your unchained magnetism, to found peace among men. And then your dazzling light will be happiness, not hell, hope of morning, gift of earth. We did it.
Wow. Oh, you made Frankie cry.
Success.
Yeah, you got a gold star. We should have like an award that we give people when you tell a poem and then they make Frankie cry.
We can have party poppers on standby.
We could have like some kind of scout badge or something.
We could have a Storytime group badge.
No.
You, Ainsley.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. One tiny charming one to, bring it all back up there, and then no more poetry until next week when we will.
I have a charming Neruda ode, but it's not about science.
Oh, which one is it?
Artichoke.
How would people feel if we had a charming Neruda ode about science?
Yes. So this is the ode to the artichoke. The tender-hearted artichoke got dressed as a warrior, erect, built a little cupola, stood impermeable under its scales. Around it, the crazy vegetables bristles grew astonishing tendrils, cattails, bulbs. In the soil slept the carrot with its red whiskers. The grapevine dried the runners through which it carries the wine. The cabbage devoted itself to trying on skirts. Oregano perfuming the world, and the gentle artichoke stood there in the garden, dressed as a warrior, burnished like a pomegranate, proud. And one day, along with the others, in large willow baskets, it traveled to the market to realize its dream. The army. Amid rows, never it was so military as at the fair. Men among the vegetables with their white shirts were marshals of the artichokes. The tight ranks, the voices of command, the detonation of a falling crate, but then comes Maria with her basket. Picks up the artichoke and isn't afraid of it. Examines it, holds it and to the light as if it were an egg, buys it, mixes it up in her bag with a pair of shoes, with a head of cabbage, and a bottle of vinegar. Until entering the kitchen, she submerges it in a pot. Thus ends in peace the career of the armored vegetable, which is called the artichoke. Then, scale by scale, we undress its delight, and we eat the peaceful flesh and its green heart.
Oh,
Cannibalism.
I would love artichoke.
So good.
What's an artichoke?
So I was thinking that, so next, for anyone who missed it at the beginning, next weekend, the theme will be parody and homage. I thought it would be quite cool if people wanted to, like, you can either just do like the parody poem, or if they are not too long, like you can read the original and then read the parody as like a companion piece. So the more irreverent, the better. That's really fucking ripping canon to shreds. And then maybe the week after that we could do food theme.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I feel like that is going to be fertile fucking territory for this.
I feel like we're going to need some snacks.
Yeah, we're going to need some snacks. Poetry time snacks. Artichokes all round. Right, okay, I'm going to stop this recording. Thank you so much for coming. God, this has been a really fucking good one. Thank you so much to everybody who read and everyone who read their own poetry in particular. It's always amazing to have people share their own work here. And yeah, it's cool to hear what everyone comes up with, and I'm really glad this is like a nice, like, safe, nurturing, creative space that is encouraging people to share their own work. So thank you so much for coming, and see you either next week or tomorrow or on Monday. Tomorrow I'll be reading a story about a snail. On Monday we will be back with Matilda, and then on Friday we will have Saucy Time. So Saucy Time is now next Friday. If anyone would like to read some shit, please get in touch sooner rather than later.
I want to read some shit, Frankie.
Right, stopping the recording now.